Hi, everyone, and welcome to Off the Record, the sports podcast of breaking news, hard opinion, and a little bit of gibber. I'm Andrew Webster from The Australian. I'm joined by my partner in crime, journalistic crime, Phil Rothfield from the Daily Telegraph. Hey,
Hello,
Buzz.
Webby. How are you? Great to be here. Weather's crap, but
You're surviving the big wet?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Good.
I am.
I'm glad. So coming up on the...
a little bit of gibber. We need a gibber meter because I reckon there's a lot more gibber than you're prepared to concede in your little ape, and it needs a freshen up.
What do you mean?
Probably 40% gibber, not a little bit.
Oh.
Anyway, we'll work on that for next week.
Good as gold. Coming up on the show today, we've got some news on who's going to coach Australia now that Brad Fittler has pulled the plug. We're going to talk about the big State of Origin decided next week, and Buzz talks about his spectacular fallout with an iconic rugby league figure, Warren the Wok Ryan.
Yeah.
That'll be good. I'm looking forward to that.
It was a long feud, that one.
I'm sure it was. He can find a feud.
The Wok?
The Wok.
Yes, so can I.
And so can you.
Anyway,
let's get into it. Before we do, let's talk about the big subscription you can get with Code Sport. You can get an annual subscription to Australia's best sports website for just $49. That features Australia's best sports journalism, the Code Sports app. You can go to codesports.com.au/OTR to get the special discount. Now, before we get into this week's potty, I got a request from one of our loyal listeners, Joel.
Via email?
Via Instagram.
Oh, right.
And I'm going to read out his message. And this is word for word.
He's obviously bagging me, so go ahead.
Hold on.
Joel. Right?
Webby, love all the work that you do as a journo. Every week on Morning Glory, which I do with Matt Johns on SEN every Friday. It's become our favourite thing of the week. I also love the Off the Record podcast with that old so-and-so Buzz, who I also think...
so-and-so.
Hang on, I'm finished. Who I also think is an absolute champion.
Well, there you go. ...
But for the love of us listeners, can you please tell Buzz to push that microphone away from his mouth and stop either chewing on gobstoppers or his false teeth? I had to turn off last week's episode.
Must be the gum. Must be the Nicorette.
It must be the Nicorette.
Yeah, I'm a perennial.
We need Nicorette to sponsor this show.
We should. I'll do my best.
Give him a call.
Yeah.
How many Nicorettes would you have bought over the years?
Oh, mate, it's nearly as dear as bloody cigarettes.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
And I get them cheap at Chemist Warehouse too.
Chemist
Warehouse.
Do you buy them in bulk?
As a sponsor.
Do you buy them in bulk?
I do.
Oh.
Far away. Keep going.
Oh, good. You're right. Anyway, Joel, thank you so much for that message that you've sent via Instagram. I'll try and get Buzz to... It's not your false teeth, is it?
No, it's definitely not. I do have false teeth.
How many?
I should take them out for one episode.
Don't you? Well, it sounds like Joel and his wife would like you to do it. All right, let's get to champs and chumps. Who's your champ, Buzz?
Mate, my champ is Women's Rugby League. The NRLW starts this week. It's now a 12-team competition, and it started in 2018, so this is the 7th season with just 4 teams. It is the fastest growing area of rugby league. I rang Dave Trodden this morning to get some figures on participation in 2021, 4 years ago. 23,000 participants, 2025, 33,500.
Wow.
That's up 45%. Now, what you can't measure is the increase in skill level. And that is why I've fallen in love with that game. And we've just had a great Origin series. Those girls are such special athletes, but they're skillful too, Webby.
Yeah, no.
And they throw the footy around beautifully. They're very well coached. And those games were getting 1 million viewers on Channel 9. And that's more than a Thursday, Friday night club game. They're off the charts, their figures.
Yeah.
And that they've gone to 12 teams, that the competition's longer now. These participation numbers are going to grow and grow and grow. And I think at some stage they'll be nearly Australia, up there with Australia's best female athletes and sport. I think it's a far superior game to AFL with women.
I think they're definitely winning the battle.
Yes.
NRL against AFL and Rugby Union, really, who've got the lure of the Olympics. But the way that the way the NRLW has kicked on in the last few years, you're right, the skill level, their physicality, like they rip in.
Well, you think all that long ago, and a lot of little girls wanted to play rugby league, but when they got to 12 or 13, they weren't allowed to. It just stopped, and they could go and play Oztag or touch. But now they actually have a pathway. They have junior reps, from Tasha Gale through to the Harvey Norman Women's Comp and then the NRLW. Mate, I'll tell you, in 10 years, it is going to be just monstrous.
It's a juggernaut, like yourself.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
my champ. Now, look, this name isn't synonymous with the sports fan. It's my old mate Ian Fuge, the executive sports editor of the Sydney Morning Herald.
Great man.
He is a great man, Fuge, and he finishes up on Friday after 26 years at the Herald and 15 as the sports editor. He's not just a sports editor, he's probably one of my best mates and like a big brother in many ways. He got me back to the Herald in 2013 to work under him, and that was after the death of our great mate Rod Allen, who was the sports editor of the Herald at the time, and he just moved on as sports editor. But Rod's death sort of convinced me I wanted to go and work for Ian again. You'd moved on as sports editor at the Telegraph, so that was also a factor. But he's an incredible man. He rebuilt that section so many times after redundancy after redundancy. He identified talent like Tom Decent, like Michael Chammas, like Michael Carianis, and he also backed me. So it's his last day on Friday. This is funny. So where we hatched the idea of me going back to the Herald in 2013, a ladyboy bar in Koh Samui in Thailand.
Are you serious?
Yeah. We both happened to be in Koh Samui on holidays at the same time. I was on the
were you on the telly then?
I was at the Telegraph, right. And I'd left. I was on holidays in Koh Samui on my own, on the quiet side of the island. He said, come over to me. And I'd said, he goes, have you ever been to a ladyboy bar? And I said, no, I haven't been there before at all.
Is he going to like you telling this story?
Yeah, he's partnered up with you, a beautiful woman called Devan. But so we went there. It's my first time there, and we didn't talk about shop. I was like, just who would have thought the best-looking women in the world were Thai men? So anyway, on that note, well done, Fuge. You've been an absolute legend of Australian sports journalism.
Never been particularly close to him, but have admired him from a distance and the quality of his journalism. And the fact you said the talent of the people he hires, and then he sees stories through to the end to publication.
Yep.
And I bumped into it at functions, very pleasant dude, and great career.
He likes you too, Buzz.
Oh, that's cool.
He does. He respects you enormously.
Cool.
Who's your chump?
My chump is your mate, one of your mates.
Who's my mate?
Shane Richardson, Chief Executive Officer, West Tigers.
Well, we're not on at the moment. We've had a bit of a blues. So.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, that's no good. For the life of me, I cannot work out why he has let Talon De Silva leave that club 18 months out from his contract. Same as they did with Lachlan Galvin. There was a legal matter there, so they had to let Galvin go. Utoi Kamanu went, Sean Bloor went, really good kid on to Tony Large, halfback, outstanding rugby league, rugby union, half has gone to Manly. So this club has lost their last 6 games. They're 1 win off the bottom of the ladder. And this is the second gun kid they've let go prematurely because this kid didn't want to play behind Appy Coruscant, but he was under contract.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been trying to explain it, blew with Brent Reed about it on 360 the other night. I tried to explain him what happens if Appy falls over. What if he does an ACL? What if he's out for 8 weeks with another injury? You don't let them walk out. There's a lot of kids don't like playing second grade.
It's like Cobbo at Brisbane.
Yeah, but the Broncos won't let Cobbo go.
I know.
because you know what, the Broncos won't let them go because they think they're going to go deep into the finals.
100%.
And in case there's injuries, they'll use him.
100%.
Now, the West Tigers are fighting to avoid a wooden spoon, and Rich has let their two best young players go. It's outrageous.
I think it's, Buzz, it's systematic of, Richo's a great hand and been in the business for a long time, but it's not, whether it's his fault or the club's fault or Benji Marshall's fault, but, that's two big name.
Two of the best kids in rugby league.
Young kids coming through. That's right.
And you know what the successful clubs like the Roosters and the Canterbury Bulldogs are doing? They're stockpiling juniors. They've opened academies. Gus is great at it. He's signed the best kids from everywhere.
Yes.
He's pinched a couple out of the Wollongong, St George's Nursery.
I'm aware.
Look at the Roosters Academy.
They're very competitive.
And you know what? These kids aren't guaranteed to play first grade. They've got a lot of, but they've got an atmosphere there. They've got great coaching there. They've got legends at the Roosters like Cordner, Friend, Orbison. You're going to learn from Morris. And what's doing at the West Tigers?
They're at the door.
It's not good, Webby. Richo, you're my chump.
Fire up, Richo. You know who my chump is?
No, go for it, though.
Your great mates at Venues New South Wales. Did they suddenly build? Did they build Moore Park on a swamp? So the SCG.
Mate, I'm not
let me
happy.
finish.
No, but I want to say you'll never ever. I will never spend the New Year's test with you ever again.
Why?
Because they'll bar you.
Well, I can't be bought, Phil. That's the difference between you and I.
It's the best ticket. And
as long as I can get some Oasis tickets, that's all I really care.
Go on.
So the SCG's come under fire for the playing surface after that match between the Swans and the Western Bulldogs. Swans chairman Andrew Pridham called it unacceptable. Others said it's the worst they've played on. Others have said it's dangerous. Venues New South Wales say it's never recovered from the Andre Bocelli concert earlier this year. That's not good enough. If you're going to host those events, then you still need to make sure the playing surface is up to it. That's both SCG and Allianz Stadium. They've got some real questions that need to be answered about their drainage systems or whatever the hell is going on there. But David Gallop needs to take control, and I'm calling him out here on our podcast. DG, fire up.
One of our men.
I'm sure he will.
Kerry Mather's in charge of it, isn't she?
She's the CEO.
Yeah, she's the CEO. What I have learnt, Webby, as soon as the league finals are over, they're going to dig up the football stadium or Allianz and they're going to go down and look at the drainage and have engineers there.
Yeah.
What it's going to do, it's going to affect Sydney FC with the soccer. They're going to be off the ground there for probably 6 weeks.
I don't want to say it, but I wrote it 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Sydney FC were...
It might be 12 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
They've been told it might be 2 sets of 6 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, but it's a big impact on their season.
Well,
thank you so much for reading my copy.
Yeah, well, now you're behind a paywall. It's very expensive, the Australian. They got an end of year financial sale, and I just missed it too. So there you go.
Hey, but I buy a Telegraph subscription to read you.
Yeah, good on you.
And Brent Reid and Michael Carianis.
But at the risk of putting my cricket...
Fatima Kadu, I buy it to read her.
Good. Bulldog,
of course.
Ray Thomas.
Racing Ray.
Yeah. At the risk of putting my cricket ticket at risk, it's just not good enough. A stadium that costs the best part of $1 billion can't cope with, this weather.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to... A concert in April shouldn't be affecting your AFL fixtures in late June.
No.
That's just not good enough.
No. And you know what? The Victorians look at for anything all the time to smash Sydney.
They do.
They don't like us. And even if there's a tiny pot of turf missing, they'll turn it into a scandal.
Massive story.
Yeah. And that's what's happened here. What are you gibbering about?
Nothing.
You know they don't cop us there.
No. They don't cop you, though.
They don't like your journalism.
They love me. They love me. You know, it is funny though. Like Melbourne sports journalists do not like Sydney sports journalists, do they?
No,
they're very rude towards us.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, see, and they get preoccupied by us, and we don't actually give a shit what they do because they're very soft. Okay, you heard it here first, unless of course it doesn't happen. So Brad Fiedler, we all thought he was going to get the job. I blame you for this.
Well, I revealed exclusively on this podcast 3 weeks ago he was the man.
He was the man
they wanted.
And see, I reckon this is the problem because not just you writing it, but there was so much. Everyone just assumed that Freddie was going to have the job. I don't think they'd talked to Freddie enough about him having the job, so I don't think that was. I don't think that helped.
I doubled down on it, and I wrote it again on Sunday and watched the buzz that he was going to coach Australia. And I'll tell you why he did. Last Thursday, Tristan Hay, who, as you know, was Mal Meninga's tour manager for anything Australia did, Tristan Hay looked after it and did all the logistics, managed the play, everything.
He's been meeting with Freddie.
He went to Freddie's house.
Yeah.
And they had a meeting. And they were planning the tour. So I thought, well, that's enough for me to run with it.
That's a good sign.
So over the weekend, Freddie had a change of heart and said, I actually heard him last night. It was really interesting that he's put his commentary before anything. And I like the fact that he said he has to have some sharp opinions on some of these players he might have to pick.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to offend anyone. But the story now is that I'm told that Wayne Bennett is back in the picture. Reason being, there's a rule in place that a club coach, a state coach, cannot take on the Kangaroos job, Webby.
Mm-hmm.
However, as a one-off, I think Peter Volandis, Andrew Abdo and the key people on the commission will make an exception and appoint Wayne as a sort of an emergency solution for this Kangaroo tour, then offer the job in a Mal Meninga type role for 3 or 4 years next year for what'll be a World Cup. But we need to make a decision quick. Cameron Smith's really funny. He was on 100% footy last night. He sat back and said, yeah, I'm interested, but they've got my phone number. Why doesn't he pick the phone up? Is he too big to do that and ring themselves and say, I'll have a whack? Why can't he?
He might have restrictions on his phone.
You know as well as I do, and people at the NRL know as well.
He can take calls, he just can't send calls.
You know as well as I do, he is the hardest man on this planet to contact.
Try writing his book.
Craig Bellamy.
Try writing his book.
Craig Bellamy used to say, I can't find him.
I was his ghostwriter. I couldn't get him. Yeah. I couldn't get him for half a book. But then I got him, and then we finally got. I
used to get the shits that he never rang back. And
don't take it personally, Buzz.
No,
it's
that's
all
what they told me. So if the NRL want to go to the trouble of sending out a search party or throw a,
yes, I said all along that I think Bennett in that for this series against England, it's hard. It's like people will roll their eyes. It's hard to take away a touring team. You've got to know what you're doing.
Well, you didn't say this 3 weeks ago when I revealed Freddie had the job.
I was saying before that, I was saying Bennett.
Right. This is about like you said the Sydney Football Stadium or Allianz in your column.
I did.
Mate, this is a rap-a-thon for you, this podcast today.
I'm not rapping myself.
There were two people.
I'm spitting facts. You should try it sometime.
Yeah.
I said Bennett and take Cameron Smith as an assistant coach, and then he could take over as Australian coach for the World Cup next year. Who do I invoice at the NRL for solving all their problems?
Well,
do you like that idea?
Yeah, I do. And look, Wayne, it's a short tour. I know it's 3 tests. It's about a month, and Wayne could afford the time off at South.
100%. He'd be perfect for it. He'd do it on his head.
Yeah, and I think a Kangaroo tour, the reinvention of the Kangaroo tour, is such a prestige job. Like there was some at the NRL saying, "Oh, look, Brad Arthur's already over there. We could get Brad." No, thank you.
You know what's going to be tough though? It's a tough job because Australia, because players like Tino and Payne, they're all going to start going back to the other countries that they're eligible for. I think it's a really
tricky
tough one.
Tour,
big game at Wembley, big crowd. Like the pressure's going to be on. So
you heard it here first, Wayne Bennett.
You heard it here first. Unless it doesn't happen.
Yeah, you two are back.
We're talking.
Yeah, good.
I'm not like you. I can bury hatchets.
No, I was fine with Wayne for a long time when he was in Sydney. Then he got the shits the way I covered his exit from Newcastle. He left him with 3 wooden spoons, and I was writing that. And he bailed out on them with a year to go on his contract, Webby.
He did. Okay.
Wayne loves positive media.
He does. I wrote a book about him too.
Did you?
Some of it good, some of it not so good. They're
Good
funny.
book, that one. That was your best book.
That was it was one of my longest books.
Yeah.
News of the week: State of Origin decider, Accor Stadium next Wednesday. Do you like that voiceover?
Yes.
Did I set the scene with that?
Very good. Sell-out crowd.
So Queensland have made. You wouldn't have thought. You thought it was the other way around about who won game 2. Queensland made all the changes. Some of them forced, obviously. Hammer in for Ponga at fullback. Shabarsky into the centres, and Papali'i for Mo Fotuaika. What do you? And New South Wales are unchanged. Should Billy Slater have picked Reece Walsh?
I think absolutely should have. And as a New South Wales fan, I'm so happy he hasn't. Because if you had Walsh at fullback and then you had the Hammer in the centres, it's two X-factor players. Very hard to plan any defence about it. You've really got to get your numbers and have that straight line. But they've both got so much speed. They've both got so much unpredictability about them. They're both just class attacking weapons. And I think Billy Slater's let us off here. He's now got 2 centres playing. There are 2 games experience between them. They're against Latrell. They're against Stephen Crichton, who both won premierships. And I expect New South Wales to win but I would fear them a lot more, Queensland, if Walsh was playing.
I don't like it when we agree, but I'm with you. I know Billy said it's got nothing to do with his knee. But I'm the same opinion. I'm stunned it's not Reece Walsh. I just think he's more, he's more dangerous when he's in that Queensland team. I mean, sorry, Queensland are more dangerous when he's in that team.
Well, you got to
infinitely more.
Well, you got to get your
dangerous.
Try as close as you can to get your best 17 footballers in. You look at Reece Walsh's form, and the Broncos' resurgence in this competition coincides with Walsh coming back for the Titans game, and then again they had a bye, then again last weekend. And even though he's heavily strapped, he's playing fantastic, isn't he?
When he does that run out the back,
when he just sweeps around, doesn't he?
He sweeps around. He's just got so much pace.
And he's got a beautiful
footwork.
Pass too to the.
He does.
But
he reminds me of Billy. He reminds me of Billy.
Yeah, he does.
Like if you didn't know any better, you would have thought it was Billy Slater in a Broncos jumper.
Absolutely.
He's very similar.
I like Papa back. Papa's look, and I said this on 360. You've got Mo Fotuaika and Tino in the forwards that's the Titans front row. The Titans, as you know, are bottom of the ladder, so that they can't be going that flash. So I love Papa being back.
Should Laurie Daly have made changes to the Blues team?
Probably not. I would have picked Kalamatangi originally, but he was poor for South on the weekend and Stefano played strong. So up until the weekend, yes, no, I'm happy with the side.
For mine, the most important player on the field is not Ashley Klein, the referee. It is Nathan Cleary. I think that's the storyline for me. I thought Cleary's performance for Penrith against the Bulldogs is exactly what you expect from a champion player. Not just a champion player, an immortal in waiting player. Well, he had a look in his eye when he came down that tunnel and was just so dominant and so strong. And I just think he's had all this talk about whether he can, take control of an Origin series. I don't think he's got anything to prove for New South Wales. No. He's won matches for New South Wales. He's won series for New South Wales. But I can just see it set up for Nathan Cleary to make a real statement in that deciding Origin.
You've taken my fearless forecast. Well, it was about clearing Origin, but I'll stick with it. I'll have my say about what I expect him to do.
I look forward to that in 15 minutes' time.
Yes.
See, that's a hook and tease.
Yeah, is it? Hook and tease.
Now, speaking of...
You've been really good today with the aircon.
Well, it's about 2 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Is that right?
This is the first podcast I've done with you. You haven't wanted 16-degree temperatures.
Don't worry about me.
You got the Torrey Hill figure on. You're looking $1 million, Webber. You are looking $1 million.
I wish I could say the same about you and your funny little head over there. Ryan Hoffman's had a bit of a crack at the rugby league media.
Yeah.
He says that media around Origin needs to be better. This all stems back to what Aaron Woods had to say about Billy Slater after game 1. I reckon Ryan Hoffman probably needs to read a little bit more if he's going to just sum up State of Origin coverage based on what Aaron Woods' throwaway line on Triple M was. What do you think?
I think Ryan Hoffman was a very, very good rugby league player, but I'm not sure what journalism school he's ever been to. You once said that about Mark Levy when you're having a brew with him on Wide World of Sports, the Sunday program.
Yeah, that was a knockout.
But look, Ryan Hoffman is guilty of the worst trash I've heard in a long period of time when he referred to Aaron Woods as a coward. And for him then to come out and try to lecture the media on what's right and to print and talk about and publish on, mate, it's just bullshit. He needs to pull his head in, Ryan Hoffman. There are a lot of ex-players, mate, who really got the shits with him.
I know.
I can't wait for the next Blues Old Boys or Freddie Fittler medal dinner, and he'll romp in there, and he's called one of their own. Queensland love it. He's knowing we're fighting. He was so out of order, and he needs to pull his head in.
And he also dogged it because he tried to tell Aaron Woods in a phone call, I know this for a fact, that what he's been saying publicly, I never called him a coward. I just said what he said was cowardly. No, you didn't, mate. You called him a coward.
He used the word coward.
He also said this comment, in the end, all you're doing is allowing other people to say those comments in the name of banter. But where do you draw the line? Is it calling someone a grub? Is it worse? Is it making sexist, racist comments about people? Is that allowed? Ryan, there's the line, mate. Grub is said in banter is one thing. Calling someone a sexist or racist name, that's not allowed. There's your line. You like that?
No, look, I 100% agree. I'm really disappointed with him. I interviewed Blocker Roach about it. He is filthy, Blocker.
I saw.
And he wants to get them together, but if he gets them together, he wants Hoffman to apologise. You know,
and if they don't, he can
does.
just clunk their heads together.
Well, you've seen the size of Block. I reckon he's still capable of it.
He still scares me.
He'll either do that or headbutt them. Who wants a headbutt?
And then they'll all have a schooner together and tell each other how much they love each other.
Yes.
Okay, finally, the cricket. Australia won the first test against the West Indies by 159 runs within 3 days, but there's huge questions over their top order in an Ashes year. Sam Constas failed to get to double digits. I can make excuse. That's okay. He's a young 19-year-old opening bat. Give him time. Cameron Green at 3. Yuck. I don't like it at all, even though they said they're going to persist with it.
Yeah.
And Usman Khawaja looks cooked. There are issues with the top order in Australian cricket. I reckon a big part of it, Buzz, and I've written about this many times in the last few years, is that there's no clear line of progression. It used to be the Sheffield Shield, but because there's so many players ducking off to play in T20 tournaments all around the world, it doesn't produce that conveyor belt of particularly of opening batsmen or top order batsmen used to do.
But when you say there's no progression, we had Sam Constas play the best 60 we've ever seen in a Boxing Day test against the champion India. Then he had one more test and they dropped him. Confidence goes and they go back to the old blokes.
Yeah.
And so what pathway is there? Surely deserve more than one chance. That's what I think. It's harder to get out of the Australian team than it is in. And I'll tell you something, you talk about the batsmen, I'll talk about the bowlers. Now, they've been getting us out of trouble year after year, series after series, test after test. You know what? I've worked out the combined age of our bowling attack is about 170. It is.
That's almost as old as you.
Yeah. I'll go through them. Mitchell Stark's 35, Hazelwood's 34, Lyons 37, Boland's 36, and Cummins is 32. What I'm trying to say here is I'm not saying any of these guys are cooked yet, but at some stage our failing batsmen aren't going to be able to rely on this really special bowling attack.
You're right.
Mate, what about the ages, though?
I know. Well, Scott Boland's 36.
Yeah, Line 37, Hazelwood 30, Stark 30. It's crazy, Webby.
I know. There's a lot of players in their 30s. Across the board, there are a lot of the players that are in their 30s.
And look, we've been so remarkably successful under Pat Cummins, which would make it difficult to make changes. However, we do need a succession plan. It's like when we lost Warne, when we lost Gilchrist, when we lost McGrath. Before that,
it was after that Ashes series in
But when they retire in a group, we're up shit creek.
Oh, yeah. Well, as long as they fire when you're sitting there in the trust suite at the cricket,
Mate,
that's all that matters.
You will not be there. Your only hope is if I take you as my guest, which I don't particularly want to do.
Mark, can you just mark this comment from Buzz in time
so
we can play it back while I'm drinking out of a frosted glass, scoffing king prawns. Hey, all right. So the second test in Grenada starts on midnight on Friday. Stop telling me to move on. Stop telling me to move on.
Prime television.
I'm going to move you on.
Yeah.
All right. War stories time. The segment everyone loves. You love a feud. Warren Ryan can find a feud. He's a bit of a little prickly pear walk.
He was a dickhead back then.
Hey, yeah. Didn't he have a fallout with Chippy?
He had a massive fallout with Chippy, and Chippy was so shitty. One year, Warren Ryan won the comp.
Yeah.
And everyone on the Daily Mirror back then came back to the office after the game and had to produce an 8-page lift-out on the game. And Chippy announced to the staff, I'm going to write him out of history. No one is to mention his name in this grand final lift-out. And what got the shit?
You know, Warren Wright has said to me, those blokes at the telly, they wrote me out of history.
That's
so it hurts. Look, so tell me about your fallout with Warren Wright.
My shit fights. You know, it started way back in 1978, Webby. I was probably 19, 20.
I was 3.
Yeah, well, mate, this is true. And I covered a Newtown game at Henson Park. And I walked into the sheds, and, mate, it was quite confronting for a kid. You get in a semicircle around the coach, and Radonicus was sitting there, and Kenny Wilson and the Dawson. You know, it was almost frightening for a young reporter. So anyway, I walk in, introduced myself to Warren Ryan. He said, mate, you're too young to be writing footy. He grabbed my notebook and hoiked it. I had that everyone used to take a transistor radio. That fell on the ground. The batteries went everywhere. Players was off.
He snatched it out of your hand?
Yeah, he did. Promise too, right? He was just trying to, put me on show. It wasn't. He was just showing off. You're too young to be. Right. Anyway, we got off.
Someone grabbed my notebook. I'd pick it up and whack him with it.
We got off. He was an Empire game shot putter.
I'm aware.
So he was a lot bigger and stronger than me. Okay, so I wasn't going to fight him.
And I've also seen that CCC footage where he whacked that old bloke at the Pagewood Hotel. So he can definitely go.
He put the slipper into that old bloke. It was a blew over
He's
Donald Trump.
He's 1,000 years old too.
It blew over Donald Trump. Let me compose myself. So I'll tell you the best yarn.
Yeah.
Anzac Day, 1986. South Canterbury at the Sydney Cricket Ground. I rang George Piggins the night before the game, and he said, we're confident, but I know what's going to happen. Peter Kelly and the Canterbury will try and bash us. He will dead set bash us. So the back page in the Telegraph was George's fear, Kelly will bash us, an old tabloid head.
Yeah.
So anyway, they kick off, and the ball goes to Ross Harrington, the south winger, in the showground corner. Harrington runs it up and Kelly goes, bash, and knocked him out. Dead set, first tackle. He got sent off after 10 seconds. The story goes that he was in the sheds before the bugler got off the field with the Anzac Day. Yeah, that's how quick it was. So anyway, after the game, we get into the sheds. And Warren Ryan grabs me and starts poking me in the chest and said, this is your fault. I said, how's it my fault? What? He said, well, your story on the back page today, the referees read it, were waiting for it and did it. I said, it's got nothing to do with me. George Piggins said it and I printed it. He pushed me and poked me and I pushed, and Peter Moore had to jump in between us to make sure it didn't get out of hand. So that wasn't a real pleasant way to be covering rugby league back in those days.
No, I bet.
Yeah, so there was no set-up press conferences. Look, I used to egg him up a bit too. We used to call him Shackles a lot.
Why?
Because he used to shackle Steve Mortimer. Steve Mortimer and Benny Elias are two examples, and they were just so gifted. so brilliant that you couldn't game plan them, you couldn't structure them. They were just natural, chip over the top, just off-the-cuff rugby league players. And they used to complain to me privately about him trying to, game plan them, as I said.
He's a complex character.
He is. I still say, and I'm going to have another little whack at him here.
Here we go.
The 1989 grand final, when he replaced Blocker Roach and Paul Sirenen, I believe was the greatest coaching blunder I've seen in a decider. Canberra came home over the top of them, beat them in extra time. Wock's argument is that they were leading at the time, Balmain, so he brought defenders on. You do not replace the two best forwards in the world, though, in a grand final.
It's very funny you should bring this up. So my personal trainer, the man responsible for this amazing rig that you see. No. A guy called Ben Seymour, who's married to James Grant's daughter, Zoe.
Yep.
James Grant scored in the first half for Balmain on the wing in that grand final. And Benny asked me, he said, what happened in that game? What should Balmain have won it? And I went through all the knock-ons with the trot line open, the ankle tap on Junior, the Benny hitting the crossbar. And I said, but the one that everyone talks about is that image that we will never get out of our head of Ciro and Blocker on the sideline in the second half as Canberra come over the top of them, just chewing nails. They looked that unhappy. Can I tell you, I get on right with Block. My first interaction with him.
Up in Newcastle?
No, 2005. I was at the Sun Herald and Tony McGay lined up an interview with him. It was about a beer that Wock had with Nathan Brown, who was a coach of the Dragons at the time, and he identified early in the season, or a third of the way through the season, that the problem for the Dragons' attack was that Trent Barrett, the 5'8", was moving too laterally, and that was cramping the outside backs. And he just sort of basically sat there with the 50-cent pieces over a beer and showed him how their attack should look. St. George went on that great run, remember, that year, and that was the year the Dragons should have won it, I reckon. Anyway, so McGay had lined up this interview on the Saturday morning. We were going to make it the back page, and it was a lot riding on the piece. And I called Warren Ryan at home, and I said, g'day Warren, Andrew Webster, Sun Herald newspaper, yes. I said, look, Tony McGay said to give you a call. I said, yes. I said, so mate, he goes, no, see, you fucked up already. I'm not your mate.
Oh, did he?
And I just went, oh, here we go. And then he proceeded to give me 20 minutes of the best quotes you could ever imagine. It was perfect.
Yeah,
and I think that in many ways sums up Warren Ryan.
Yeah.
Very good.
But, mate, you get these situations in the game and, I've never had a relationship as bad as, and, we talk about.
Oh, he's your worst, really?
Oh, yeah. Well, as I've spoken about before, mate, we've had some great relationships.
Mate, if someone poked me in the chest like that...
I'd tell you, I didn't know what to do.
I would have swung.
The interesting thing is...
I would have swung...
Jack Gibson never copped him. Jack didn't like him at all, no. He used to...
You know who's really tight with him? Joey Johns.
Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah.
Joey took him along to Origin training a couple of... Joey goes and has a Chinese feed with him and Langmack and Joey Thomas, that crowd.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay.
We can't all get on in this crazy old world of sport and rugby league.
No. Remember you gave me, I think you suspended me for 6 months, didn't you? Not so long ago, a couple of years ago, and I had to buy you a bottle of Henschke to sweeten it up. That's a true story. We didn't talk for 6 months, and I organised a lunch at Grappa. And I thought, as a peace offering, I'll stop. And it cost me a hunch, the bottle of Henschke. And I'd lob it to the restaurant, present it to you, and you were, all good.
And then I left.
You left it at the restaurant.
You know why? Because I drove there and then got on the drink, and then left my car there, and left the car and the bottle of Henschke. I had to ring
Charlie up, who owns the restaurant, to get him to put it aside.
Don't worry, I went and got it when I got the car.
Anyway, move on.
All right, fearless forecast, Buzz. What do you got?
I was trying
to beat that beautiful prose that I just produced on Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, Nathan Cleary. Look, that Penrith game the other night said it, then he found another way to win a game, didn't he, with a charge down, but he read it. He read the fullback wasn't in the line as Burton. He read the space, charged it down. And you know what? I think in this mood that he is going to own Origin next week. I think, and I've been saying for a long period of time, or for the last year or so, that I've already got him with his 4 titles alongside Joey and Thurston. I do, and it's a big thing to say, but I genuinely believe it, that he's played in 5 straight grand finals, won 4 of them. And this, I can see him now getting the Player of the Series award on Wednesday night as well.
Ooh.
Yes, I can.
I like it. The British and Irish Lions are on our shores. I know you're a massive rugby union fan.
Go the rah-rahs. Go, you good thing, Webby. What are you after, a free ticket, are you?
No, I'm not actually.
I bet you ring Alex Brown and say, Alex, I gave you a rap on my show. Off the record.
Shut up.
Get a free ticket.
Shut up. So I've talked to my rah-rah types, and they reckon a 2-1 series victory to the Lions is the bet.
Really?
Because the Lions will take time to work into their combinations, and the Wallabies will probably snatch the first one, and the Lions will win the 2. One? It's at Suncorp Stadium, Buzz. So I'm going to take the Lions to win the series 2-1, $4.50.
$4.50.
It's a pretty good price.
It's interesting with so much interest how the betting interest will be on this series, because obviously rugby league and AFL are the main sports. It'd be interesting to see what sort of,
Righto, what a show.
Terrific,
I think you went all right. You've actually aimed up for a change.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
You're right.
It's the first episode you've done without the aircon.
No, it's not.
It is.
We've had one without it before.
No, we haven't.
It's because I'm in the hottest part of this massive studio.
No butter menthols, no aircon, but still plenty of gibber. Hey?
Can we, just before we go, where's this butter menthol stuff come from?
You were chewing them.
I wasn't chewing one.
One of my listeners said you were. There's my phone. That's time.
Oh, there's one of your listeners now. You right? Who is it?
It's a player agent.
Oh, what a surprise.
Stephen Chimes
Gillis. Doing the bidding for one of those player agents.
Stephen Gillis has got his own.
He's one of the good ones.
I'll see you next week, Webber.
Before we go, Buzz, if you're out there listening to us, all 4 of you, you can follow, subscribe, and engage with us on socials at Off The Record Podcast on Insta, or you can subscribe on YouTube at Off The Record Podcast. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Webby. See you next week, champion.
See you guys.
Bye.